To the big situation from Friday night surrounding Adam Goodes. It's dominated discussion since. So many varied opinions on this. Caroline, Garry, where do you sit?
I thought it was fantastic. My first instinct when I saw it, I was stirred by it. I found it dramatic. I found it incredibly passionate. I know Adam said that it had no relation to anything that's happened to him in recent weeks and the booing and stuff, but somewhere from deep within, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but I wonder whether that helped sort of drive it. He wanted to do something for Indigenous round. I was just stunned by the negative reaction, I've got to say, absolutely stunned. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people were threatened by it. And I'm disappointed it took the AFL a couple of days to come out and make a statement about it, given all the negative stuff.
Yeah, look, there were lots of things to consider, Hutchie. You were watching at home, I assume?
Yep.
Yeah. So at the ground there was a small contingent of Carlton supporters, and straight away, being at the ground, I thought something must have been said. So that's the interest where it laid for me. I thought, oh no, there's something's going on here, and that was the story. Now, Damien Barrett was with us. He went and checked it out and said, no, it's not the case at all. And then we said, well, let's wait and see what Adam's got to say. So in the end, I don't have an issue with him celebrating on Indigenous round in that way. I'd have to say I thought it was a bit over the top, the celebration. That's just me personally.
Why?
Well, I just... Regardless, and I want to take the Indigenous aspect out of it, which is a bit hard to do in Indigenous round, but I thought it was an over-the-top, excessive sort of celebration, and that's just my personal opinion. I love the fact that he celebrated his heritage, but I mean, to me, that is an over-the-top, a bit over-the-top in the way he went about it.
See, why do we have Indigenous round if not to...
You can't express yourself.
I mean, that's the whole point of it. It seems to me people want to have Indigenous round in their own comfortable, neat little box that doesn't, and I'm not saying you, that doesn't threaten them or in any way intimidate them or make them think or challenge them.
Yeah, let me be really clear. I didn't feel threatened by it.
No.
Regardless of the motivation for the celebration, I just thought the celebration was a touch over the top. And that's just me. When I see blokes celebrate goals, and I like the fact that they can get excited, but when it is extended, I just think it's a bit over the top.
I loved it on the night being there, and I loved his explanation after the game that it was a dance that he learnt from an under-16 academy.
It was funny because I've got to say the 3AW commentary really reflected the way I felt, and yet, you know, there was a comment on Channel 7, a few comments on Fox Footy that really didn't, interestingly.
But what trivialised it a little bit for me was when he explained it a little bit more that he would have done something different down the other end. To the end he did it. So if it was a Sydney end, he would have done something different. But to the Carlton end, he tried to...
It's a highly complex issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what the Indigenous round should do, be complex.
Well, I'm in the Carra camp. I thought it was magnificent. What he's doing is cutting through. He's forcing our nation to talk and to learn more and to discover. But has he got everyone going with him?
Well, I mean, I've tried to read as much about this and think about it long and hard. And there was one school of thought that said he is doing exactly that in his own way, but is he doing it in an us against them type mentality? Like he said, it's a war. It's, you know, it's us going into battle against you. And I guess the comparison that was made was that Michael Long, who's another, now the strongest, most visible campaigner, did it in a more conciliatory tone. Not us against them, not a battle, not going into war. It was go to Damien Monkhurst, come together and be a touch more embracing of it, which I thought was an interesting juxtaposition.
Well, that's not quite how it took. They had a couple of goes at it before they got it right. Yeah, and Michael Long made it quite clear he wasn't happy. Yeah, the first time.
But since, I understand that. But since that time, it has been very much about, this is a period of understanding. It's me and you together. Let's try and understand this and work through it. Now, also, to be critical of the people who commented on it when it was live. It was when you were there at the ground. It was a startling sort of a thing to see.
Yeah, I'm not critical of them. I'm just saying I didn't understand it.
I want to make that. Now, once you've had time to digest it and hear from Adam, I think then you can judge people on their opinions on where they sit. Yeah. But I just want to say, on the night, it was dramatic, and all of a sudden you see a Sydney superstar charging at the Carlton cheer squad. And you can understand people sitting back going, hang on, what's happening here? It was like nothing I've seen at a footy.
The thing about Michael Long is, though, his way has never been to be much more... I mean, Michael Long is a great symbol of reconciliation. Yeah. But it's been more in acts of symbolism for Michael, whereas for Adam Goodes, it has been to challenge and to make us think. And I don't think, Craig, you can judge people for taking people with him or being divisive. I mean, these issues are divisive.
Yep.
These issues are going to see him have his detractors. I just felt really proud to be in.
And it was a big week for him to build up because obviously it started with the booing, which was disgusting the week before against Hawthorn, and there was a lot of opinion around that. In fact, only on Friday, Caro, you wrote about this in the column in the Age newspaper where you said, but the tall poppy syndrome combined with racial overtones has been a toxic mix. To suggest the treatment of Goods is largely due to his alleged staging for free kicks is laughable and almost an insidious excuse in its obvious avoidance. So,
which I stand by 100%. I know that some people didn't like it.
How would you know that, though, just as a matter of interest?
How
would you know that there aren't a section of that crowd who boo him because he has been seen to, or been perceived to...
There might be a small section of the crowd who don't like the way he plays for free kicks.
Yes.
My opinion is based on what I hear from people, what I read in the emails I see from people. There's a large element of copycat in the booing. I don't think everyone's booing because they're racist by any means, not even maybe the majority of people, Garry. But I absolutely believe that when you cut through and you listen to what people say, they say, he was Australian of the Year. Would he have got Australian of the Year if he wasn't Indigenous? What about what he did to that 13-year-old girl? What about what he said about Anzac Day? I believe there is an element of racism in it, and Sydney Andrew Ireland said the same thing on Saturday.
Isn't that more about the way he pushes how he wants to get across things? I think that, because Lewis Jetta, all these other players, they don't get booed. So I don't understand how it's racist.
It's because here is somebody who is standing up for his Aboriginality, his Indigenous heritage, and saying things that are proving offensive to white people. I have no doubt there's an element of racial in it and tall poppy, and I absolutely stand by that. I will not back down from that for 1 minute.
Nor should you. We're going to a break, I know that. But I also
I said this last Monday night, Garry.
No, I take offence at people trying to tell me that we like our Indigenous players to play footy and not open their mouths. That is a gross generalisation.
No, you don't, but some people do.
That's exactly right. But don't speak on my behalf.
I'm not speaking on your behalf.
I'm not talking about you. I mean, there has been comments made saying we want our Aboriginal players to play and not be heard. That's not my opinion. That may be the opinion of some. That's not
it's pretty disappointing, though, isn't it?
Well, let's hopefully continue to learn.
We will, and there's plenty more to come tonight on